Breaking news. Tensions rise in the West Philippine Sea. Manila, January 2026. U.S. Navy confronts Chinese ships near Philippine oil fields blares across television screens. Tensions escalate over energy reserves. In West Philippine Sea reads another headline. News tickers flash urgent updates as the world watches the unfolding drama in these contested waters. The air is thick with tension, and every move on the sea could shape the region's future. In recent months, the presence of warships in the West Philippine Sea has grown. Both Chinese and U.S. vessels maneuver with precision and caution. The stakes are high. Beneath these waters lie vast reserves of oil and gas. For the Philippines, these resources mean hope for energy security and economic growth. For China, control over the sea means power and influence in Asia. Filipino fishermen report harassment by foreign vessels. The Philippine Coast Guard steps up patrols. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy's increased presence signals a promise. The Philippines will not stand alone. This is not just a battle for territory, but for resources, sovereignty, and the right to chart one's own future. American destroyers glide across the waves, their radars scanning the horizon. High above, U.S. Air Force surveillance planes circle, watching for any sign of trouble. This active presence is no accident. It is a show of strength and a shield for the Philippines. The message is clear. Any threat to Philippine waters is a threat to U.S. interests. The U.S. 7th Fleet has increased its patrols in recent years. Aircraft carriers, submarines, and support ships now operate regularly in the West Philippine Sea. Their tasks keep vital shipping lanes open and deter aggressive moves by China. The U.S. Navy conducts freedom of navigation operations, asserting these waters are international. American ships often come within sight of Chinese vessels. The radio crackles with warnings and challenges. U.S. commanders remain calm but firm, ordered to protect Philippine interests and prevent escalation. For the people of the Philippines, these patrols are a reassurance. The U.S. presence is now a vital part of the region's security equation. At the heart of U.S.-Philippine cooperation is a powerful pact, the Mutual Defense Treaty of 1951. This agreement states that an armed attack on either the United States or the Philippines in the Pacific will be met with collective action. The treaty has gained new importance as China asserts its claims over the West Philippine Sea. The U.S. has made it clear that attacks on Philippine public vessels, aircraft, or armed forces will trigger the treaty. This firm stance has emboldened the Philippines to defend its rights and resist intimidation. Joint military exercises have also increased, with American and Filipino troops training together on land and at sea. These exercises build trust and ensure both countries can respond quickly to any threat. The message to Beijing is unmistakable. The Philippines is not alone. The treaty remains a cornerstone of regional stability, reassuring Filipinos that help is always near if crisis comes. Beneath the clear blue waves of the West Philippine Sea lie riches that could transform the Philippines. Experts estimate these waters contain billions of barrels of oil and trillions of cubic feet of natural gas. For a country with growing energy needs, these resources are a potential game changer. Today, the Philippines imports much of its oil and gas, making the economy vulnerable to global price swings. Developing its own resources could create jobs, lower energy costs, and fuel new industries. The Malampaya gas field powers much of Luzon, but larger untapped fields lie to the west. If the Philippines can safely develop these reserves, the benefits could be enormous. Revenue from oil and gas would boost government coffers and fund infrastructure. Local communities would prosper as new investments flow in. But all these hopes depend on security and control over its waters. The battle for the West Philippine Sea is, at its core, a battle for the country's economic future. China's claim to almost the entire South China Sea, including the West Philippine Sea, is well known. Its so-called 9-dash line cuts deep into waters recognized internationally as part of the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Chinese ships now patrol these waters aggressively, building artificial islands and military outposts on reefs. Filipino fishermen are routinely chased away from their traditional fishing grounds. Survey ships, backed by armed escorts, search for oil and gas beneath Philippine waters. These actions threaten not just the Philippines' sovereignty, but also its economic dreams. Energy projects have been delayed or canceled due to security fears. Tensions at sea can flare up quickly, risking conflict between two powerful neighbors. Filipinos worry about losing control over their natural wealth. This is why strong allies and clear legal rights matter more than ever for the future of the Philippines. The Philippines does not stand alone in its struggle. The US is its oldest ally, but new partnerships are also emerging. Japan has stepped up maritime cooperation, donating patrol boats and sharing technology. Australia, South Korea, and some European nations have voiced support for Philippine rights. Recent years have seen a flurry of high-level meetings and joint exercises. Defense officials from Manila, Washington, and Tokyo now meet regularly to discuss intelligence sharing and ways to deter aggression. The message to Beijing is clear. Any move against the Philippines will face a united front. ASEAN, though sometimes divided, has started to speak out more strongly for freedom of navigation and respect for international law. These growing alliances give the Philippines access to advanced technology, training, and diplomatic support. Joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea are now a regular sight. US and Philippine ships sail side by side, their crews exchanging signals and coordinating maneuvers. Japanese maritime self-defense force vessels sometimes join, adding another layer of strength. These patrols are more than just exercises. They are statements of unity. The presence of Allied ships deters would-be aggressors and keeps vital sea lanes open for trade. Joint operations go beyond military drills, including search and rescue, anti-piracy, and humanitarian missions. These activities build trust among sailors and reassure local communities that help is always near. For the Philippines, every joint patrol is a reminder that it is not alone. These alliances make it harder for any single nation to dominate the sea. United action is the best guarantee of peace in an uncertain world. Voices from the front lines, Filipino workers, and Marines. On the deck of a supply ship, engineer Mario Santos wipes sweat from his brow. "We work hard, even when it's dangerous," he says. Behind him, the glow of an offshore platform lights up the night. Filipino workers like Mario face tough conditions at sea, but their pride is clear. They know their work powers the nation's future. Alongside them are the Philippine Marines, standing guard on small outposts and sandbars. Corporal Liza de la Cruz keeps watch from a lookout tower. "We are always ready," she says, scanning the horizon for unfamiliar ships. Life on these remote stations is lonely and tense. Supplies arrive by boat, and storms can cut off contact for days. Fisherman Pedro Ramos has seen Chinese Coast Guard vessels up close. "They tell us to leave our own waters," he says, frustration in his voice. These are the faces behind the headlines, whose courage and resilience fuel the country's fight for its rights and resources. International law stands at the center of the West Philippine Sea dispute. In 2016, a tribunal in The Hague ruled in favor of the Philippines, rejecting China's sweeping claims. This legal victory is a powerful tool, confirming the Philippines' rights over its waters and resources. The principle of freedom of navigation is also vital, as more than a third of global shipping passes through the South China Sea. If any one country controls these routes, it could disrupt trade and threaten the world economy. That is why so many nations support the Philippines' stand. Alliances and treaties are not just about military power, they are about upholding a rules-based order. When countries respect international law, everyone benefits. Disputes are settled not by force, but by dialogue and agreement. Only by defending law and cooperation can the region move toward lasting peace and prosperity. The promise of support. Securing prosperity for the Philippines. As the world watches, the Philippines stands at a crossroads. International support, military, economic, and diplomatic, is stronger than ever. The efforts of allies, the bravery of workers, and the power of law all point to a single goal: a future where the Philippines controls its destiny. If the Philippines can secure its oil and gas, it will transform its economy for generations. Families will have jobs, children will study in better schools, and the country will stand tall among nations. But this future depends on unity and vigilance. The US and its partners play a critical role, deterring aggression and reassuring the region. But the true guardians of Philippine prosperity are its people, the Marines, the workers, and the leaders who fight for justice. With the world's eyes upon them, Filipinos are determined to shape their own future, whatever the odds.